Hello, third grade students and parents. This is Miss Martin, and I'm here to help explain your ESL menus for the week. So I'm going to go over the listening, speaking, reading, and writing sections. And remember, it's broken up by levels. So we have levels 1 to 2 grouped together, levels 2 to 3, and levels 3 to 4. So you need to complete 2 assignments from this week's ESL menu. You can pick any 2 assignments. It can be from the listening and speaking, reading and writing, reading and listening. It's up to you. So the first thing I'm going to cover is levels 1 to 2 listening. So you need to click on the YouTube link that is provided, and you're going to watch the video about the water cycle, and then you're going to draw your own water cycle. So you can use the vocabulary words listed, such as precipitation, collection or accumulation, condensation, and evaporation, and then you can also use the sample picture from the video to help you in order to draw your water cycle. So after you finish listening, you can move on to reading. For reading, it says, sing the water cycle song to the tune of She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain. So if you don't know that song, it's she'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. And then how it says show how the water moves by using your hands. So you could say, water travels in a cycle, yes it does. Water travels in a cycle, yes it does. And then you need to keep singing. It goes up as evaporation, forms clouds as condensation, then comes down as precipitation, yes it does. And so what you can do with your hands is you can move them to show the cycle, and then you can go up as evaporation, down as precipitation. So you should use your hands and also sing the song. So what we have next for levels 1 to 2 is speaking. And speaking and writing, we have a word bank. Our word bank includes the words clouds, sun, cycle, evaporates, hot, cools, and rains. Our sentence frames are clouds are, evaporation is when, and the water cycle is when. So what we're going to be doing for our speaking section is you are going to click on the YouTube link, and it says, watch this animation of the water cycle and use the sentence frames to help you describe what is happening to a family member. Use the word bank to help you. So what you're going to be filling in is evaporation is when water gets, condensation is when the water vapor, precipitation is when water. So you are going to be using the video and to be using your word bank to help you fill in the different answers to those sentences. For writing, it says, read the water cycle in your packet. So you're going to look in your third grade packet to look for the passage called The Water Cycle. Then fill in the blanks with a word from the word box. So our words are clouds, sun, cycle, and evaporates. And the passage says, the water blank is always working. The sun blank water into the air. As the air is cooled, blank form. Then the water falls to the ground as rain or snow. The water flows down on the ground into lakes, rivers, and streams, and then back into the ocean. Then the cycle starts again. The blank drives the water cycle using heat. So every time that I said blank, one of the words that I just previously said needs to be filled in. So you need to decide where the words go. So for our levels 2 to 3 listening, we also have a YouTube video. So you need to click on the YouTube video link, and it says, watch the video about the water cycle and draw the water cycle yourself. After you have created your water cycle, complete 4 short sentences using the sentence frames below. So it provides you with a word bank. Your word bank includes the words precipitation, condensation, accumulation, and evaporation. And your sentences say, blank is when water falls back to the ground as rain. Blank is when the water turns into vapor and rises into the sky. Blank is when water steam turns into a cloud. So you are going to use your word bank to decide what word matches the rest of the sentence. After you finish that, you can move on to reading. For reading for levels 2 to 3, it says match the words precipitation, evaporation, and condensation to their definition. Water falls to earth as rain or snow. This is called water vapor rises into the air and forms clouds. When the vapor cools, it turns into water. This is called water in oceans, lakes, rivers, and streams is heated by the sun. It turns into vapor. This is called, so remember, we have 3 words, precipitation, evaporation, and condensation, and we need to match them with the sentence. For our speaking and writing sections, we have another word bank, and we also have sentence frames for levels 2 to 3. So our word bank includes the words evaporation, precipitation, and condensation. Our sentence frames say, evaporation is when water, condensation is when vapor, precipitation is when clouds. So for our speaking section, you need to click on the YouTube link and it says, watch this animation of the water cycle and use the sentence frames to help you describe what is happening to a family member. Use the word bank to help you. So you're going to watch the video, and then it also has the sentence frames at the bottom that will help you say what you should tell to your family member. So you need to tell a family member and say, evaporation is when the water, and you need to figure out what that means from the video. Condensation is when water vapor, and precipitation is when clouds. So you're going to find those answers in the video, and then you need to say them out loud in sentence form to a family member. After you've finished your speaking, you can move on to writing. For writing, it says, read the water cycle in your packet. Then read these sentences. Write the correct word from the word box in the blank. So your words are evaporation, precipitation, and condensation. So sentence number 1 says, water in oceans, lakes, rivers, and streams is heated by the sun. It turns into vapor. So you need to make sure that you decide what word that describes that was listed before. So sentence 2 says, water vapor rises into the air. It forms clouds. When the vapor cools, it turns into water. Sentence 3 says, water falls to earth as rain or snow. And after we've finished that, we'll move on to levels 3 to 4. So for levels 3 to 4, for our listening section, we also have a YouTube video. So you need to click on the YouTube link, and it says, watch the video about the water cycle and draw the water cycle yourself. Use these vocabulary words and the sample picture to help you. After you have created your water cycle, write a short 4-sentence paragraph explaining how the water cycle works. So first, we need to watch the video. Then, we need to draw the water cycle. And we can use the vocab words of precipitation, condensation, accumulation, and evaporation to help us with drawing and labeling. After that, you need to write 4 sentences explaining the water cycle. So once you've finished that section, we can move on to our reading. So reading for levels 3 to 4, we need to use the sentence frames below and give examples of precipitation, evaporation, and condensation. We can use the words or phrases in parentheses for your sentences. So for example, it says, rain is an example of precipitation. So now you could use the other words that are in parentheses. Snow is an example of precipitation. Sleet is an example of precipitation. Hail is an example of precipitation. The next one says, drying of clothes under the sun is an example of evaporation. So then our other things in parentheses say cooling down of hot tea is an example of evaporation. Drying up of lakes and rivers is an example of evaporation. So then the next one says morning dew is an example of condensation. A foggy windshield is an example of condensation, and clouds are an example of condensation. Then it asks, can you think of your own example of evaporation or condensation? So think hard. We gave you some examples. Try to see if you can think of some yourself. So after that, we can move on to our speaking and writing section. So for speaking and writing for levels 3 to 4, we have a word bank, and our word bank includes water cycle, heat, sun, condense, precipitation, and evaporation. Our sentence frames say the sun can, water vapor cools, and precipitation is when. So what you need to do for speaking, it gives you a YouTube link and it says, watch this animation of the water cycle and use the sentence frames to help you describe what is happening in your own words to a family member. Use the word bank to help you. So you're going to watch it and then it gives you sentences that you can start with. You could say first the water, second, last, and you can use the word bank when you're speaking with a family member. Then for writing, it says, read the water cycle in your packet. Then answer the questions about the water cycle. What provides heat? What does water condense into? What causes precipitation? Where does water fall into? If we go back, we can see our extended technology resources, and those are just extra things if you want more practice. You don't have to do them, but you can if you want to. So we have an animation of the water cycle. We also have a water cycle video in Spanish. We have a water cycle song, and there's also a YouTube video that teaches you how you can make your own water cycle experiment. So keep working hard. We miss you.